pilots or pilots who are not flying, not flying, aviation staff, whether you're in corporate, basically if you're in travel. It also applies to people who have accommodation businesses like hotels, Airbnbs, bed and breakfast, anything where you're hiring out a space and making money from that. And it also applies to hospitality businesses which thrive during the travel season, but is currently struggling at the moment because of the fluctuating state of travel, which is kind of indefinite at the moment. We can kind of predict when it's gonna go back to normal, but still it's a prediction. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I've been in your shoes. I've been in where travel was happening and then it stopped. Even though it was by my choice because I resigned from being a cabin crew member, I still had to find alternatives to how I could thrive in my life. Not just, get a temporary job while I was working things out. I actually wanted to plan for something that was going to have longevity in my life. So I wrote my notes just to make sure that I don't miss anything. Okay, so if you're in the travel industry right now, or if you just left the travel industry and you're in a temporary position trying to find a solution for what your next steps are, this is what you need to do. You need to learn how to make content. I know that sounds very, very basic, but basically knowing how to make content for the internet or social media is your gateway to freedom. Let me explain. When you're restarting your life, you're going to find that there are gatekeepers, and whether those gatekeepers are things like employers, budget, or just you're even not too sure where you're going to go, all of those things act as barriers. When you learn how to make content for the internet, you're effectively learning how to communicate in a visual and oral way. So I'll give you a little example. When I first started my life or restarted my life, I applied for about 60 jobs in marketing and nobody wanted to hire me. Even though I had a degree in communications, I flew for 7 years, and so therefore my experience was not in line with my degree. Starting a YouTube channel was really my fallback. Hello. Oh, hi there. Good to see you as well. Starting a YouTube channel was my fallback, and I didn't actually realize that it was going to impact my life in such a huge, huge way. Now, the reason why you need to know how to make content is effectively, you're going to need to learn how to market either yourself in order to get a new job, or maybe you're going to start a business after being in the travel industry. And especially if you've been in the travel industry and you've always been waiting for a moment to start your own business, what happens after you start that business is you want to learn how to market it. Now, the reason why I say content is because it's the most easily accessible, the most affordable. It doesn't apply to any one location. As long as you've got a mobile phone and the internet, it's the one thing that's going to allow you to be seen. So once you're seen, you're effectively able to market yourself. And this is also a skill set that has longevity in your life. Like, knowing how to make content now is pretty much the equivalent of knowing how to do basic math. When you can communicate and know how to be visible in front of people, you have every opportunity to network, create new opportunities for you, and to thrive. That's exactly what happened with me. Now, I'm just going to give you an example. I want to keep this live short because I know I ramble, but I'm going to give you 2 examples. So let's say you have a business in accommodation, or let's say you work maybe at a hotel, or you have an Airbnb that you want to market, or you have a bed and breakfast, anything like that. One thing that you can do with content, so a lot of the time, people in the accommodation space, they hire creatives, they hire photographers, videographers, and content creators in order to make that content. Thing with that is that's really reliant on budget, right? This is a tricky thing to work with when the industry is fluctuating, but when you or someone in your team has the capability to run your Instagram stories or make TikToks or make YouTube videos or even go live, you have the opportunity to make yourself visible to your potential customers. Now, this is great because I think sometimes when you're in the travel industry, it's very easy to take for granted our surroundings. Like, our travel surroundings become so normal to us that we forget how exciting it is. A good example of this was the holiday destination that we just came from. This holiday destination that we came from was amazing. But the funny thing was, when I was looking for things about it, articles about it, photos about it on the internet, there wasn't much. The only thing that was available on the internet at the time were all of the very polished advertorial type videos. Now, the travel industry is starting to realize that, yes, those things work, but I think I'm starting to see now that different industries are starting to see the value of raw content and daily content. And if you want to make daily content that's polished, it costs a lot of money. Now, here's the beautiful thing about knowing how to make content if you work in the accommodation space. You or your team can save money on outsourcing creatives from making, polished content and still get in front of your potential audience. Once you understand the basic things around lighting, angles, and storytelling, you can show up every single day on Instagram stories or Instagram Live, YouTube, and help people see you. This is my work. So I actually work with accommodation brands. I work with people who need to be seen. I work with people and brands who need to be seen, both as a photographer and as a content creator. And that's why I'm saying people in the travel industry, if you're in travel, you're like me. You like freedom, you like travel. And right now, freedom and travel, well, they're kind of like this at the moment. So content was my gateway to starting a whole new career without having many gateways. The gateway of an employer at the very least. You have to remember that when you produce content for social media, your only gatekeeper is the algorithm. The algorithm is just a machine. A machine can be trained. So when you have your skill set, the creative skill set over here, you're not at the mercy of any other human being's opinions. You're working to a machine, and that is actually golden. A lot of people might complain about the algorithm and say, oh, it changes all the time, it's so fickle, but other gatekeepers like human beings are also very fickle. So this is a place that you can really, really calculate. Now, I'm going to give you another example. Now, let's say if you are from the travel industry and you are in limbo at the moment, you're trying to decide where you're going to go, what job you want to do, and while the travel industry is down. The best thing that you can do is to start a personal brand that's visible on social media. And I'm saying this because social media, the internet, anyone can see you. Back in the day when I tried to build a personal brand, it was based on a resume. And that resume didn't really do very much for me. And so when that wasn't doing very much for me, I had to come up with another idea. Now, I said this to a friend of mine. He still works in aviation, but he's not flying. So he's still employed, but he's currently in another job. And in all honesty with you, his other job pays him much better than the cabin crew job that he has. However, he doesn't love that job. It's burning him out, and he really just wants to find another solution to be able to thrive as someone who, he is highly skilled, he's highly talented, but at the same time, this job that pays him really well is anchoring him in. And my suggestion to him, hey, I'm just seeing the comments, they come in and they fade out. So Delta Airlines, hello, how are you going? Now, my suggestion to him, I said, do you know much about YouTube? He said, no, tell me about it. I said, YouTube is a search engine. YouTube is the second largest search engine owned by Google. So if I knew then what I know now about YouTube, I would have started a business first or started a business while I was building my YouTube channel. I didn't actually realize that you could leverage YouTube to build your business exponentially. That's why there's a lot of YouTubers who do this for business. And at the beginning, I was like, what are they getting out of this? Here's a tip, you guys. If you want to know how to make money on YouTube, apart from Google Adsense, because I'll tell you now, Google Adsense is it fluctuates. You have no control over it. But if you have a business behind it, whether you're selling digital products, whether you're selling a service, it is such a great place to attract the right audience for your business. Now, the problem that I had when I first started a YouTube channel was I thought that this was all about being an influencer and doing a lifestyle channel. That's all I wanted because that's all I knew. But then as time passed, I started to understand business and I started to understand the back end of YouTube. And I'm like, oh my God, you can really thrive on just this. So going back to my friend, that friend who is, he's still employed by his airline company, and he's currently working in another job that pays him much better than the airline. But I know that when that finishes, he's going to want to go back there. Now we started talking about YouTube, and I said to him, if I were in your shoes, I would start a YouTube channel, and on the back of that, I would have a product. And I said, what do you like to do? Like, automatically, he's really good at doing smoked meats. You would not believe, you guys, like every interest out there has an audience. Like if you think that you have an interest that no one's interested in, I challenge you to look it up on YouTube, and you're going to find your niche. There's an audience there for anything that you want to learn. Now, what you would do is you would create a product, and then you would have that like ready to go either on a website, in a funnel. We won't go too much into technicals, but basically you're gonna have that product. It's easy to post these products on the internet. And then you're gonna build a YouTube channel. A lot of people might get intimidated and say, well, there's a lot of work in building a YouTube channel. You know, you don't actually need to have a large audience in order to monetize. A lot of people who've turned YouTube into a business and have become very profitable are ones who were already solving a problem, and they built a product off the back of that. Now, depending on how widely catered for your industry is, that will kind of give an idea of what your competition is and the pricing of your products, but it's very, very doable. So what are we saying here? If you learn how to make content, you can make your own digital products. You can start your own thing on the internet. I have friends living in all different countries: South Africa, Vietnam, Italy, Philippines, and I would say this to anybody. It doesn't matter what country you live in or what state you live in. It's a very possible thing. If you really think about how many people use the internet, it's like it feels unlimited sometimes. Now, here's the other thing. Let's say let's assume you're not really interested in creating your own digital product or doing anything like that, but you do want to take a path where you're still able to travel, still be free, still be creative. You know, all of the perks that the travel industry really has. And let's be honest, people aim for the travel industry because of those perks. And yet at the moment, because the travel industry is down, we're taking jobs that don't offer that. I know that a lot of people, they are taking jobs which will pay the bills, yes, but are not something fulfilling for them in the long run. They're really waiting for the travel industry to come back. When you know how to make content, you can actually work. You can still have that paid to travel kind of role, because so many brands need content, all different kinds of brands. Anything that sells a product, anything that sells a service, they all need content. And what I'm telling you now about learning how to make content, a lot of people don't even really know about this. A lot of people are still questioning it, like, should I know how to make content? Will I waste my time by learning how to do it? But when you're that person who steps up and goes, okay, what can I do with my mobile phone? What kind of Instagram stories can I make? What kind of YouTube videos can I make? What would I do if I was going on YouTube Live? What does that mean for the algorithm? Then you, the one who made the decision to do that, you then become an asset to those brands who are hiring. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I ended up in content creation. I ended up in content creation because I started first a business in social media, and the social media business was interesting. However, it's too strategic for me. Like, it was too many hours spent in boardrooms and sitting at a desk and making strategies. And while you can make money doing that, it just wasn't fun for me. So I had to reassess, like, what's fun for me? And I said, creative. What am I going to do to be creative? And I was like, I know that if I really hone my skills as a photographer and choose to shoot products or people or events, then that means I have the opportunity to still travel around. And that's exactly what I did. And so I started taking product photos for different brands. Sometimes it was food. And mind you, doing photography for different subjects, it enters you into this world of they're all different. It all feels different. So for me and for you, if you're in the travel industry and you specifically want to go and travel on location, you want to aim for things like, travel photography is definitely an option, of course. And right now, if you're thinking, well, travel's down, how are you going to make money? Right now is actually the best time to start building your portfolio. So even if it's in your local space, and the way that you're going to post that on social media is by being educational. You need to start thinking of yourself as a travel photographer. Now, if you're not really that interested in being a travel photographer, like I wasn't really that interested in I was actually interested in being a photographer that could make money now. So that's why I got into products and personal branding. Now, personal branding is when you photograph people who they need to be in the public space. So like coaches, business owners, And because of social media, there's even more of a need for them to show up. And so that's the route that I took. The reason I love this particular role is because I actually took it upon myself to be like, we should do your photo shoots on location. And through that particular role, I started discovering some beautiful locations, homes, studios, just different beautiful spaces. And effectively, that meant that I was like traveling. Like I wasn't working in an office or in a studio, I was out, and that was the best thing. And also being able to make a living out of that. And what does that go back down to? That goes back down to photography. Now, you don't have to be a photographer in order to make money through creativity and making content. You can actually be a beginner to intermediate level content creator and actually make money. And I know this because over the years, I've worked with different levels of businesses. There are businesses which are just starting, so their budget is smaller. And because their budget is smaller, they know that their budget will cater for a beginner skill set. As long as you set their expectations and kind of line up with that, you can still monetize your skill set. And then of course there's intermediate, and of course then again there's advanced. And the higher you go, of course, the higher your rates will go. And so what does this come back down to? Content. Now, when you make content for others, how do you market yourself? Through content as well. So then what you're going to do is take the work that you make, post it on the internet, and basically get your other potential clients to see you. I'll tell you a little trick. Even my email signature, you know, at the bottom of my email signature leads to a video on my YouTube showing how to style products. And one client actually told me, he goes, you know what the seal the deal moment was for me? He goes, I remember I was emailing you and I just clicked that thing and I saw you on set doing your job, like product photography. And I was like, yeah, she looks like she knows what she's talking about. And so, so effectively what happened was my content ended up selling me my services to that client, and I didn't even have to do a thing. So I said I'd keep this live short. I'll wrap it up now. Basically, if you're in the travel industry, one of the smartest, savviest things you can do right now while travel is fluctuating is learn how to make content, whether it's with your mobile, whether it's with a camera. It doesn't have to be at the highest quality of content. It just needs to be content. You just need to work on lighting, angles, and if you're going to do video, communication. So practicing your speech. This is the fastest, like with true honesty, this is the fastest, the most affordable way to get you to anywhere you want to be. And that's why there's a lot of people who succeed purely because they know how to do this, and they leverage the internet. The internet's not something that's always been there that people could use. This is something that's for us. And so right now I'm working with some really great, beautiful, another perk of my job is right now I've been working with some really beautiful accommodation. Just the other day, I was at a shoot for an international hotel chain, and I was sitting there by the pool and I was like, I can't believe this is my life. And I was like, of course I believe this is my life. I manifested this. This is the thing that I've been building over time. So basically, if you want to keep that travel lifestyle up while the travel industry is down, you've got to upskill yourself to a level that will open the doors to opportunities that still allow you to travel. And back in the day, photography, videography, making content for the internet was like totally unknown. My mum even said to me, photographers don't make money, like a long time ago. And so I was like, I don't think I could do that for a living then. And then this era, the digital era, came around and changed the game. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'm really, really passionate about this. I don't think there's a lot of people who've come from the industry that, over this period of time and has been, I feel like my life is like a case study for all the possibilities that are out there for someone who's still willing to not just survive, but to thrive after having a spectacular life in the travel industry. I think it's still very possible, and pivoting into a place where you even have more control over your time and your skill set and power to distribute that in a way that is to your best interest is very possible in this day and age. So please drop me the questions. I've kind of messed up my YouTube channel by messing with the SEO, so I don't really know what people want to see on this channel. I'm just putting out what I think, and I'm instinctively like doing this. I'm putting out there what I think is very valuable for people, especially during this time, if you're willing to self-navigate into your definition of freedom. That's what I'm here for. I made a little ebook, and I did an ebook because I think it's easily digestible, and it's called How to Make Good AF Content, even if you suck at using camera, and I've put the link in the description box. So that's something that you can just read in an afternoon and start and like pick up your phone and start making content. Yeah, I think that's about it. I didn't really see any comments, so no worries, guys. No offense taken. I'm going to get going. I see that there's still people arriving, so now is a good time to ask any questions if you have any. Just do remember, Instagram is kind of like a magazine. TikTok is, TikTok's a very powerful tool right now. YouTube is a search engine, so if you want something that's going to last long on the internet, it's going to keep getting found. Hotels, guys, hotel owners, accommodation owners, Airbnb owners, please leverage YouTube. You know how many people are looking for videos about staying at your place? It's right here. Plus you can actually calculate virality. If you look at my channel, even though it's in the dumps right now with like almost 47,000 subscribers and like I've got 47,000 subscribers and I've got like 200 views on one video, I know I've calculated in my brain, and not just my brain, but using the tools of YouTube, when some of these videos are going to gain traction. So oh, that is great. That was Kay. The names only pop up a little bit. It's awesome that you're still in the industry. If you find that if you've got spare time and you're on a layover and you're like, well, what should I do with my time? I promise you will never regret learning how to make content. Well, there's a saying that a lot of people in business say. They go, if you're not creating, then you're consuming. And it's great to be able to do both, especially when you're in a creator position. You're basically empowering yourself. You're putting yourself in a position where you are not handicapped if you ever become redundant in travel. Plus, content creation is a very transferable skill. That's why I think the last 5 videos I've made are specifically around making money with like intermediate quality content. Because I'm honestly like intermediate, but I've monetized it in such a way, and I feel like it's my duty to pay this forward. I can't explain enough. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be staying at a freaking stunning, beautiful Airbnb, about 2 hours drive from Brisbane. And like the thing that's allowed us to do that is the job that I created for myself. This wasn't even a job before. If you want to know more about content creation and the actual job itself, type in content creator. What you're going to find is things about content writing. But if you want like the jobs with the camera and you're behind the camera or you're in front, I like to be in front of the camera because I feel like I can connect with you like that. I like to be in front of the camera. You would look for terms like video content creator, vlogger, photo content creator. Sometimes they go under the guise of like photography, videography, but then when you start searching those terms, what you're really going to find is like very professional tutorials on how to tweak your cameras and things like that, which is also very handy. Like I still look into those tutorials just whenever I level up, but it's gotten to the level now where I've realized I'm not really interested in becoming a videographer and editing at a high cinematic level. I now subcontract editors to be able to do that for me, and sometimes I subcontract videographers. There's a video that's doing quite well on the YouTube channel at the moment. It's the one about going blonde, and that one I hired a videographer for that, and so I did the creative work. He did the editing and stuff. But dude, like I could have, I believe it now, but I got paid to get my hair done. And I'm like, people need to know about this. You can get paid to do the things that you love. And I feel like that sounds so schemy. I feel like it sounds so schemy to say that. But I also don't think that there's anything schemy about getting paid to receive the things that you love. Oh, where's that comment? Why did it disappear? I don't know how to... All messages are visible. How do I bring it back up? Oh, here, I hear your lecture on content creation, but for me, I think I need to visualize what you do to create content. In other words, I need to see, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna share with you then, because I have a lot of behind the scenes videos. Sometimes I put it on my Instagram stories when I'm actually making content for a client. So just to run you through it, when I first started, I had 0 clients. So I had to build a portfolio, and what that portfolio looks like is photography. I'd like take my camera, and I'd put it on, and I found online platforms where I could post my work so that potential clients can see it. So it's almost like an online portfolio, but wasn't on my own website. Now, the behind the scenes of these things, just to describe to you, this would be my camera and this would be me, and I'd be doing a hair tutorial. And it's just, when I'm just doing content creation by myself, it's just me. And let's say I would do a 1-minute video that I submit to the client, and that would take me about, all up from beginning to end, about 3 hours. And when I say beginning to end, that's like planning the content, like how I'm going to present the tutorial, how what outfit I'm going to wear, and then all the way to filming it, and then all the way to editing it and then submitting it. So some of the quick ones I just do myself, and then some of the more complex edits, I get the editor to do it. So to show you the workflow, what that looks like is, this is video content specifically. What that looks like is a client will approach me. So now it's at the stage where clients approach me, but if I really, really want to work with a client, I'll approach them. And I approach them with a pitch. This is called like a pitch. I'll find their email on, like, I don't know, LinkedIn, or even just Google, if I really want to work with it. Or sometimes on Instagram, I'll check on Instagram if they're open to working with, little trick. If you go into Instagram and search the hashtag ad, that means that that brand has paid for a content creator to make the content that you're seeing. And so sometimes I might go to their Instagram, then I'll go to their website. From their website, I find the contact us. In the contact us, they normally have different categories. They'll say contact us for customers, customer service, or sometimes it'll say media and PR. So then I'll go into the media and PR and I'll grab that email address and that name, and then I email that person directly. Then I'll say to them, hi, my name's Christine Fernandez. I am a photographer and content creator based in Brisbane. And then I'll say some of the things that I love about their brand, and then I will pitch them an idea. So this is like a cold pitch. Like, let's say if I'm already going on holiday somewhere and I wanted to work with a bathing suit brand, I would say to them, I'm going on this trip, and then I would see if they need images. Then I would add my images. These are images that I've created for this brand, or if I haven't created images for that specific product, like a bathing suit, I would show them samples of work that I've done with bathing suits, whatever. But this could be for like sunscreen, this could be for anything. And a lot of the time, like, you've got to remember, brands are always also on the lookout for other creatives who can do work for them, because they're not traveling, they need creative input. I will let you know that this is a numbers game. So out of how many people that you pitch, let's say 1 out of 10 will say yes, but all you really need is 1, because what happens is it compiles over time. And basically that's what's happened on my end. So many no's at the beginning, and now it kind of does flip over at one stage. Once it flips over, it's now the brands who contact me to work with them. And that's a great situation to be in, because that's really what you would be, that's one of the first, for me, for my own personal milestones, that was my first milestone, was to flip the scenario where brands would be pitching to me. So going back to that, let's say now a client has said, yes, we're going to work together. What happens after that is they'll send me something called a brief. If they're the ones who approach me, they already know what they have in mind. I'm like, should I show you a brief? I don't think I can pull it up while I'm on here, but a brief basically says what they want. We want it to be 60 seconds long. We want you to be able to clearly describe what what this product does. And then they also show me what the product does. And then they'll often show me like inspiration videos. And then I create that. And then within a span of 3 hours, I'd send that back to them. You probably won't see a lot of content for brands on my channel, because the difference between content creation and influencing is, influencing, you need your channels and your audience, and you create the content and you put it there. But I specifically like content creation only without influencing, because for me, I'm very picky about and I think a lot of content creators are like this. A lot of content creators are very picky with the brands that they want to work with, but it doesn't mean that you can't create content. And so a lot of the content that I make for brands aren't even on my platforms. They just go straight to the brand and then they post it on their channels. So that's one way of making content. The other way of making content is for brands that have products. So for example, like this ball, there are platforms. So here in Australia, there's a platform called The Right Fit. There's also a platform called Tribe, and another one called Hey. And in America, oh my gosh, you guys have so many platforms for content creators, and just go on Google and search like influencer platforms or content creator platforms, or even you might find like online creative agencies where, back in the day, the agency would be an office, the creative photographers would go there, and then brands would go there, and then they work together via the agency. But because of the online systems now, that whole office scenario is completely negated. And so you create an account on that platform. So for me, I have an account on The Right Fit. And in The Right Fit, I put all my photos that that I want to use to kind of promote myself. And then a brand will approach me and say, they will invite me to apply for a job. And that's how that one works. What does it look like in life? Well, it's very fluid. So routine is complete. You set your routine based on how you want to work. Before, I used to be inspired by business owners, and I'd be like, I should be like them, morning routine, do this, then I've got to push myself and da-da-da. But then when I stopped kind of questioning my own methods and realized like I'm a creative, so I like to operate in flow. And when I'm in flow, I want to stick in flow. And if I'm not in flow, then I stick to the mundane tasks. So my week would kind of look like, what would a normal content creation week would look like? So I toggle between content creation and photography. So for example, Friday mornings I do my admin, and Monday mornings I do my admin. So I almost have like a block. And then let's say Tuesday, so what was yesterday? Whatever day was yesterday, I was doing a full day photo shoot at a hotel. So, it wasn't full day, it was from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And sometimes when we were doing photo shoots, this time I was in front of the camera. I wasn't behind the camera. So that was really fun, because normally I do everything. I'm like behind the camera, then I'm in front of the camera. But I'm starting to shift. I'm starting to shape my work so that I'm only doing one thing rather than doing all the things. So when I was doing creative direction, that's quite a lot of work. So not that I'm avoiding work. I'm just saying it's just a better space to be in. Anyway, so did a photo shoot for that. Then the night I spent preparing outfits. I'm in contact with some stylists, so I'll get it. I feel like I'm saying all of these random tasks and it might sound really overwhelming, but these are like bits and pieces of the job. So that was the photo shoot day. And then the next day I catch up on emails in the morning. Right now I'm building a program that is specifically to help business owners make content. So I'm not actively going out doing shoots unless they're really something that I want. So I guess that's one of the other beautiful things about knowing how to make content, is like you do the work that you want. Of course, at the beginning, I was kind of like needing to do more work in order to create a cycle, but then eventually you can kind of like flip that scenario as well. So this February, I actually wanted to dedicate to completing that program. So I made a program. I started off with the ebook because that one is easily accessible. People can read that and just digest it and start applying all of this stuff. And then I built a program called the Posing and Product Photography Bootcamp. And that's because I found a lot of coaches and people in business who I would photograph feel so uncomfortable in front of the camera, not knowing what to do with their hands. And, and I thought as a content creator, it's been really great to have the opportunity to be in front of the camera as well, to understand what their challenges were. And so I made an online course which teaches them not just how to pose in front of the camera and copy poses, but more how to generate poses that suit their body type, so that they don't have to worry about being on camera and feeling uncomfortable. Especially like here in Australia, like if you have a business and you use your social media for your business, then you're likely going to want to appear on your Instagram stories or Instagram regularly. And I found that there was a block. The block that these people were experiencing was that they just weren't comfortable. They didn't know anything about lighting. They didn't know anything about posing. So here's the beautiful thing. All right, so how you asked for what my day looks like as a content creator. That's what the day looks like as a content creator working with brands. But on top of that, what I did was I took the most common challenges that that people experience that I could help them with, and then I turned them into digital products. So the great thing about this is instead of spending time repeating the same information to different people and not really being able to help them at the root of their challenges, I turned these into an online course. What does that mean? That means that they're able to purchase this and get the help that they need. And then that way we could get to the higher quality kind of challenges that they're experiencing. So what that means for you is that, okay, knowing how to make content, you can create your own online courses, your own online products, and you can sell that at the prices that you want to sell them at, right? And that, what that means is you can grow your income basically without constantly utilizing your time. So when I first started, I was like so burnt out. Oh my God. This is the thing. There's not a lot of information about being a content creator online, but now being in this space of social media and blah, 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 I could just see there's so much burnout. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to making money, still being creative, still being able to travel. And that's when I discovered, I was like, oh, great. I know how to make photos and videos. What if I turn these into a course that people could purchase? So what that really meant was like, let's say if a client, to paint a picture, let's say a client came to me and we're going to do a photo shoot. And before the photo shoot, I would ask them a few questions like, what's this going to be used for? If it's for Instagram, this is a brief, right? If it's going to be for Instagram, I suggest that I'm going to take the photos in vertical format because you're going to be able to take more space in the Instagram feed. If it's going to be for your websites, we're going to likely do banner slides, all of this stuff. And then opens a conversation around what they're going to wear and how they're going to do their photos. And this is when the nerves arise. Now, back in the day, I would individually coach people before we did their shoot. I would show, okay, so when we do your thing, we're going to make some lines with your arms. We're going to use all of the levels to be able to create shapes with our body, da, da, da. And when I was shooting a lot, like this was information that I was repeating over and over and over. And then when I finally put 2 and 2 together and I was like, oh, not only is it going to, this information really good for them for their photo shoot today that they're paying for, this is actually fundamental information that any personal brand can use so that they can make their own photos. Because I know that people don't always hire photographers all day, like once a month. Sometimes it's rare. I was like, first turn that into an ebook. So what happened was clients were then purchasing that ebook to prepare themselves for their photo shoot, but then not just that, they were getting benefit out of that afterwards. And then I found that other people who wanted to buy this ebook, they wanted more information, more clarity. And I was like, right, this needs demonstrations. And back in the day, I used to run workshops about this. So here's the other thing about knowing how to make content. Because the need for content is so rampant, even teaching other people how to make content is a monetizable skill set. You can run workshops. So I was running workshops called Posing and Product Photography workshop. And it was through the demonstrations that we got more insight. Okay, well, how do we make this look like that? Why doesn't my lighting look like this? And I was like, right, all of this stuff can be turned into an online course. And then that way people can learn at their own pace. And of course, I know that once you go to a workshop, you learn it then, but once you're in your real life and trying to practice it, you forget it, you know? And so I was like, this is a product that solves a problem for everybody, the service provider and the people who were wanting that photography thing. And so because I realized that that online course was really helping a lot of people, I decided this month, I was like, how can I knuckle down and create more content, more online products that can help others fulfill what they want to do, while at the same time I still do content work. The real problem I was trying to solve here was like, how can I still make another income while still doing the photography work that I want, but also not be pressured to do the photography work if I don't want to. And that was really in the space of online products. I'm like, do you want to know a story? Should I tell you? I don't know if this is a good story. Look, just the general gist of the story is I know some people who've made online products and within, a few days made 5 figures. And that's a very common thing in the digital product space. There's a whole process to it. I'm just kind of getting to know the process, and it's very fascinating, but beyond fascinating, it's very possible. So I'm like, spending time waiting for people to hire you and give you like a secure future. I feel like the weight of that in our life right now it's starting to shift a little bit, because we have the power to have our own businesses. We have the power to have our own voices. We have the power to be visible. And so I just think that like all of these possibilities are out there ready to be taken, and and they just start off with I'm going to tell you something now here on YouTube that I haven't publicized, so I don't even know who's here. This is kind of like a secret society. I haven't made a video about this, but like one thing that showed me that YouTube had, what it said, it now makes sense. All the links yep. All those links, because you know what used to happen? So, okay, back in the day when I first started my YouTube channel, I was doing content to teach people how to become a flight attendant. And that's because that was the question that people asked me all the time. And I was like, it only makes sense to make a video out of it. Plus, it's directly in line with my goal of being back in the travel industry. Now, here's the mistake, and this is how I would have solved it. The mistake that I made was that I grew the channel so powerfully and I didn't have a business behind it. So what happened was I was getting questions after questions after questions. And, you know, to someone who can monetize that is great because you're giving exchange of value. You can sustain the energy that you put out as much as you're getting in. But I had another job. And so basically I was spending my time building this channel because I wanted to be an influencer. And then in the meantime, and I was getting all the questions, but the pieces hadn't clicked in and I hadn't monetized that. Not that, look, I'm not saying this from the point of view of greed. I'm talking about this from the point of view of sustainability and then the opportunity to thrive. I'm talking about this from the perspective of putting something out and also being rewarded for it. And this is why I understand now that YouTubers are always like, you know, trying to find different income streams. And I really think that there's a way to meet in the middle. Now, here's how I would have solved that. That kind of channel and that kind of content would have been the ideal kind of content for a person who's teaching people how to become cabin crew, a cabin crew recruitment coach, because you're putting the content out there, it's causing the inquiries, and here you are, you can solve that problem. And the best way that you can like really help someone one-on-one is through consulting or coaching. And there's your monetization strategy. That's you making an income from a natural skill set that you have. I personally wasn't really, it wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. I didn't, when I started that channel, it wasn't my intention to be a coach in, you know, helping people to become, I was just doing that for free. Like, and, you know, and I had friends who were recruiters and I was like, you should guest on my channel and then maybe you can help because you have more information. And so now look at this, any channel that you're in, go into their description box, open the description box and have a look what links are there. Now there are different income streams that people have when you create content. Some people use Google Adsense, and that's something that you get paid when you make YouTube videos and you monetize your videos. And then some people do online products. And the reason why I love online products the most is because I think it's the one that's, you have the power to make it directly in line with you and the people that you serve. Plus you have control. You have control over your product. You can make it better and better and better. And my whole goal here is to make my products so good that people can take them and actually thrive by taking action, by doing these courses. So that's been my personal mission, because I've bought like so many products online that have helped me get to where I am now. And I'm like, if those products didn't exist, I don't know what I would have done. Like I would have spent way more time doing this. So that's online products. Now the other thing is affiliates. So when you open the description box of any other YouTuber, you might find links to like, I think I put my ones of the equipment that I use, and why not? Because people would ask me all the time, like, what camera do you use? What lighting do you use? Da, da, da. There's no difference of them buying that and not being affiliated and actually being affiliated. So there are some very organized YouTubers and content creators out there. I kind of wish I was one of them, but I'm not. Maybe I will be one day. But they've got heaps of links in there so that there's actual multiple income streams. So you have affiliate marketing, you would have your own digital products, you might have a service-based business. So for example, me, photographer. If I made this channel purely about photography, all of my links in there would head to people booking my services. What else? Brand deals. So sometimes you're going to see links related to other brands. And so anyway, I got to tell you that story. Who's here? I don't know who's, I'm just going to tell you the story. So the moment that I found out, so a lot of the time, people don't really know what money they're going to make on YouTube. I didn't even know. I was like, is Google AdSense even really a thing? Like, and then one day, and this was so timely. I believe in woo-woo, so this was so timely. It was in the crossroads of my career path, and I was like, this is when I was deciding whether I should do strategy or not, like YouTube strategy and working in boardrooms versus being creative. And I really was like, I really want to go creative, but I was just too ashamed that I would look like a failure, that I left that kind of business, blah, blah, blah. And then one day I was like, no, no one cares. The only person that cares, Christine, is yourself. So you do you. And then that same night, for some reason, I was in my bank account, and I was like, oh, there's an extra couple of $1,000s there. I was like, where from? I was like, I had to search where it was from because I didn't actually realize that YouTube actually paid. And as it turns out, my settings on my YouTube payouts was like, it wasn't set so that I'd actually get paid out. And I think I must have tweaked something, and then it did my first payout. And I was like, right, so this is how it works. And I still didn't really understand like where that payment came from and what that calculated to, but over time I did. Here's how, I'll tell you. The length of videos, nobody ever talks about this. So the length of your videos, 10 minutes or above means that advertisers can place more ads in your thing. I didn't know that. I actually also didn't know that the location of your viewers matters. I think that has to do with the cost of advertising spend from advertisers. I've advertised on YouTube. And so let's say if your audience is mostly from a country where ad spend is very little or very low, it's like very cheap to advertise from those countries, then your income will be different for that video or your channel. But then if your audience is from high paying advertisers, then you're likely to make more. I personally don't really rely on Google AdSense here because first of all, I messed up my channel. So my numbers are up and down. And that's how I discovered the different ways to monetize. But most importantly, I know we're talking about money a lot, money, but it was very important to me to make money that in a way that aligned with my values. And that was probably the trickiest part, because what I've learned by now is you can make money through anything. If the moment that you decide that you're going to make money, you're going to make money, and you do the work, you're going to make money. But when you haven't decided yet, and that was for me because I was very fickle. I was like, I had this whole wall about accepting and receiving money from people that I help. That's a whole different conversation. That's all about money mindset and what you think you're worth and what you think your work is worth. And that's something that I really had to work through. And so I've had to work with, I didn't have to, but I chose to. I chose to work with wellness people, like wellness coaches, people in the spiritual world, people who in the energy and in the neuro-linguistic programming space, because I had to sort of understand a little bit more about myself and what this whole charade was about. It's not a charade. But when you are the one responsible for how you make money, let's say you're not making money from employment, you are self-employed, and these questions really arise, and you're either not going to sustain the energy that you put out. You're really not going to sustain it if you don't find a way to make money in a way that's true to you, that you feel deserving of. What was I saying? Yeah, if you don't align with that, if you don't come to peace with that, and understanding that money is energy and that you need to find a way that's aligned with you to make money, then you'll never really come to peace with becoming a business owner who can thrive, especially as a creative. And I know a lot of people who have creative skills, because that creativity comes to you so naturally, you don't ever think to monetize it because it's just so easy. But that's a whole different conversation. So anyway, at some point I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision about how the YouTube channel was going from the cabin crew scenario. And I was like, I don't really know if this is the place that I want to be in. I don't feel strong in this space where I can teach other people to get a job as a flight attendant. But what I started to realize, like 4 years later, what I felt very strongly about, and this is something that had been going around in my head. I've hired coaches to work with me and was really understanding like who I can serve and who I can serve best. And there's this saying actually in the coaching space, like you are your target market. And I didn't really know what that meant. I knew what that meant in theory, but I didn't know what that meant. I thought because I was a photographer, then I can help photographers. I thought that because I was like this, I could help this. Because I was in small business, I could help that. Or because I was interested in wellness, I could help people with their wellness and their mindset. But actually, the epiphany came today, of all things. I was like mopping the house. And I just looked at all the people that I met over the last few years. I kept on coming across people who came from the travel industry. Like the lady who was doing my nails the other day used to work on an international cruise ship. And now she's done this temporary job in beauty, you know. And we were talking, she misses travel. She wishes she could get back into travel, but the only way that she could get back into travel was if cruise ships started again. And then I was talking with someone else. They own multiple travel agencies and their business did really, really well. They have a beautiful home now, which they hire out as a photo shoot location. And that's their means of thriving whilst their travel agency is down. And then, like I said, I've got my friends who have gone into different industries and want to help their companies in the marketing department. One of them is also with charter boats. So it's so interesting, like travel people always go back into travel because that's our passion. And also they go into business because business is also, I guess in our minds, probably a gateway to freedom, you know, but then you start a business and you go, oh, this is actually going to take up a lot of my time. And that's why it's important to start a business that you really love and means something to you. Anyway, I started this morning when I was doing the mopping of the house, it just clicked to me. I was like, I wonder why I keep on meeting people in travel. And every time I speak with them, the first thing that I say was like, if you learn how to make content, you can go anywhere you want. You can do anything that you want. If you want to work with brands, you can work with brands. You want to work with hotels, you can work with hotels. If you want to be a travel photographer, you can be a travel photographer. If you want to be even a photographer for your local council, you can, because everything is digital now. And when I realized that, I was like, here's my people. Here's my people in the travel industry who, and of all times, especially right now, where it's just so weird, like hotels have turned into quarantine hotels and like people who used to fly are currently not flying. And I was like, if I was in your shoes, hands down, no questions asked, hello. Hey Art. This is exactly where I would start. And even people aspiring to become cabin crew, the very first question I always ask, because at the time when I was building the channel about, you know, how to get a job as a flight attendant and all of that sort of stuff, and I could feel the passion to become a cabin crew is higher than any passion that I've actually encountered, like hands down. Of all the people that I've ever met through the last few years and even in flying, I've never met anyone more passionate than someone who wants to work in the aviation industry as a flight attendant. And so when this came around, I would ask people the questions like why, like dig a little deep and have a look at like, why does it matter to you to become a flight attendant? Is it the prestige of working for a specific airline? Is it the travel that you want? Is it because you want to see the world fast? That was my reason. I wanted to see the world, as much of the world in small amount of time. And the flexibility. I'm not really a routine person as well. There weren't many jobs that could be like, you could be flexible and you can travel and you could get paid to travel. There were only two jobs that came to my mind, and that was like cruise ships and flight attending. And so what happens when that's over? You know, like what happens if you still want those things, but you don't want to fly anymore? It's definitely not a 9-to-5 job. And that was for me the first thing. You know, when I first quit Emirates, like I did a bunch of random jobs, and then I finally went back into aviation, and it was in the office, and it was 9-to-5, and I was so grateful for it. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is the best. I go to bed the same night, I get up at the same time, And I think it took about 3 to 4 months to realize, I was like, I actually have no ambition to go higher in this company. Because I think when people think about a job, they think about the job and they think about the money. And we often forget to look at the people in those current job roles that we aim to be in and not realize that the lifestyle that they have is not the lifestyle that you want to have. You just want the money and you want the job title. And so when this occurred to me and I was like, I actually don't want to go higher in this, like, what do I do? And it was intuitive that I started the YouTube channel. I said this in my other YouTube video. I said to my friend, how do you start a channel? And she just said, well, you just start one and post a video a week. And little did I know that that was the thing that was going to like change my life. So when you really think about like why we get into travel, the flexibility, man, the travel, even